Here is an excerpt of the conversations you can hear on this week's episode of Radio Free Nintendo, available for download on NintendoWorldReport.com.
Here we go. Here's the quote. This is from Miyamoto speaking to Edge. Quote, there were heated debates over who the main character should be in Splatoon. Whether it should be Mario or the Squid. When we talked about the possibility of it being Mario, of course, we could think of the advantages. Anybody would be willing to touch it as soon as we announced it was a new Mario game. But at the same time, we had some worries. If there was Mario, we wouldn't be able to create a new IP. See, the thing here that is most telling to me with respect to the first email asking about the marketing and the blitz was that there is an implicit risk in them not making it a Mario game, which is that they have to do a lot more to get word of mouth going. Because if it is
it's more incumbent on you to do that kind of push. Because it needs more of an introduction,
right.
what it is, what the sort of sensibilities of it are. But I mean, I think the other part of it is, I think an interesting analog here is a Codename Steam, which came out on virtually the same day here, but it was a couple of months earlier in the States, which they made a new IP out of. I didn't really push, and it pretty much disappeared without a trace. So. It's not as if this sort of thing, is bankable. Like, oh God, if only they just tried doing new IP more often. Well, you kind of see why they don't sometimes, because
Splatoon's an interesting story though, because it was kind of primed to get a little bit more interest than normal, because number one, it's a genre that Nintendo really never touches, and it's not a Mario game from Nintendo. So people. I felt like there was a curiosity and kind of a buzz around it, just to see if it would in fact be a flaming train wreck.
Well, I think the other thing in play though is that it's imminently marketable because it has quote fucking style.
I think that's the biggest thing about this. That I really believe that Nintendo not only spent the money on the marketing because of a perceived need because this game is a new IP and all that, but I think they really felt like it would be money well spent. If you this game has potential, it's got style, it's got substance. If we could just communicate to people, they will get it. I think they really believed in it, and that's why they were willing to give it that big push. And ultimately, I think in many ways they were vindicated. I suppose the point is to the first part of this, to what Nicholas wrote. What other Nintendo products would benefit from this sort of push? Had they given that sort of push to Codename Steam,
would Mario Tactical Squad have fared better?
It would be.
Maybe a little bit, but
I would have bought the hell out of that game. Mushroom Kingdom Chronicles. There, yes, done. I'm in. Give it to me.
Fire Emblem Steampunk Edition or something like some other kind of spin-off. But I think the point is that. They wouldn't have given that game that sort of treatment because they wouldn't have believed in it the same way.
And it's not a belief in the gameplay specifically.
No,
it's not something
quality.
About
it's not. I mean, I really like Codename Steam. I really like the game. I think it's got plenty of merits. I got the opportunity to play it after the patch because it didn't come out until then. But the thing with it is, it's not about like raw quality or the kind of craftsmanship that's got it. I think it's just that potential for mass appeal. Splatoon has it, and I think they identified that, and that's why they put the push behind it.
Splatoon has a cool factor to it. There's just something about it, visually, it's got a little bit of a punk attitude, and the funny thing about punk as a concept, as a style and stuff, is that it's eminently co-optable by marketing, because it's got edge. And it's got authenticity. And the thing that marketing struggles with more than anything else is pushing a product that lacks authenticity. Because instantly you just shut down on it.
So, James, what you're really saying here is that there needs to be a Splatoon Shadow the Hedgehog crossover product.
No, that has no authenticity. That's the problem. That's why Shadow the Hedgehog is so stupid. It lacks any merit of authenticity. It's the you pay for the whole seat, but you only need the edge kind of game marketing. It's just complete It's so transparent that it's not there. Whereas Splatoon, it's so embedded in that DNA. If you made it a Mario game, you couldn't have given it that kind of style. You couldn't make it, you couldn't have them be fashionable, kind of, little bit roguish clothing. You couldn't have the sort of countercultural DJ music that the game sort of thrives on. You couldn't do like electronic dance music in a Mario game. It just doesn't work. So making it its own franchise sort of lowered the floor on what that game could have done. It absolutely was a risky decision, but it also raised the hell out of the ceiling of what that game could succeed as. Not necessarily in sales, because if it was a brand new Mario platformer that used Splatoon mechanics, that game probably would have sold a ton of copies, because it is a brand new Mario platformer.
But I mean, if you think about it in Japan, though, I mean, if you were selling on par or better than Mario Kart 8,
yeah, you're doing really well.
What more do you want? I mean,
right.
that is. You talk about a ceiling. I mean, that's really butting up against the ceiling for what something could do on Wii U in Japan. So it's certainly mission accomplished there. The other markets it is a bit different, but I think. That's possibly in the future, this is the kind of thing where they could benefit if the next platform is kind of,
they've laid the groundwork.
If the next platform is going to be kind of device flexible, if you like, this is just the sort of game that could be really, really huge in Japan as a handheld game of some sort, if that's possible. And then, Monster Hunter's hype multiplayer, and then at home, as most shooters are played in the Western market, a console in front of the TV, in the Western market. So I mean, they've definitely this should be just the beginning for as much of a success as it's been.
Right.
Hopefully, that this is not the end of the story.
So I would say, imagine the new Zelda game is coming out, because that's all we can do right now is imagine. Imagine the new Zelda game is coming out, and Nintendo has done every single thing that's in Nicholas's email. They've bought big displays on the sides of GameStops. They've put, Link in a fountain in a mall. They've covered everything in Zelda stickers. Who besides Nintendo fans is really going to pay that the time of day? Because everybody sees it and knows, oh, that's Zelda. Okay.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a different kind of push, because you haven't got the same kind of room to define something.
Well, and people who already see it can kind of filter it out. But you see this kaleidoscope of color and just this unknown thing up there. It's going to draw attention to people who could otherwise filter out, the iconography of Mario, having been exposed to it for 30 years now. It's kind of this, because it's new, they had so much more flexibility. And because it has style, it's able to be so much more arresting visually.
I mean, there's nobody to offend.
That's true. There's no existing fan base that you have to deal with. I mean, I think one of the things that has made this game successful, and not wholly, but is that it has created this sort of thriving community of people who just dig the style. Like there are thousands upon thousands of fan art images of these games. Yep. Now that it's leaked out that very likely you will be able to play as the Octolings. Like, I saw Spike in fan art of those characters. Just because people just dig this game visually and auditory. Like like they put out a soundtrack of the music. It has a cool factor that makes it very sellable.
This might sound weird, but I feel like Splatoon is the kind of game that people can kind of take on to represent them, their attitude.
Oh, absolutely.
If that's, like...
No, you're totally right.
They identify with it a little bit. I think.
Yeah.